Hey everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review, and today's review is in association with Tformers.com, your #1 news source for everything Transformers. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new release Transformers Combiner Wars Combaticon figures from Hasbro. Now more specifically, I'm going to be focusing primarily on the Voyager class Onslaught figure in this set, and then transforming them all into the Bruticus Combiner. Okay, so here's a look at the packaging for Onslaught. It comes in the same style of packaging we've seen with all the Voyager class Combiner War figures. You've got the window box packaging, the figure's clearly displayed. You've got the Transformer logo off to the side, and then down in the corner you have an image of the character and the name of the character. On one side you just have that Autobot logo, and on the other side you have some artwork of Bruticus, and then on the back we have a look at the figure, Onslaught figure, in both robot mode and vehicle mode, and a brief bio in multiple languages. And then off to the side we have a look at all the Combaticons, and it shows you how they form to merge into Bruticus. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging, and when you first take him out of the box, he is in his robot mode. I think they've done a pretty good job with capturing the overall G1 look of the character with this new mold. Now this is, I believe, just a retool of that Hotspot fire truck mold, though I think it looks much better as Onslaught than it did as Hotspot, especially in the vehicle modes. But for the robot mode, I think they've done a really nice job with the head sculpt. It looks almost identical to the G1 version. And then I like the chest piece. On the original G1 version, this was a removable piece with just a sticker on it. I like how they sculpted the circuitry detail and everything on it. I think that looks really good. You've got the Decepticon logo. Colors are pretty good, pretty true. I like the army green and the purples, which, you know, very true to the G1 counterpart. I don't remember the plastic, the gray parts being this kind of bluish plastic, but I think it looks good on the figure. You've got the red eyes, which looks good. You've got some detailing with the paneling here on the side of his feet, which looks good. Now the backpack piece is where I'm a little disappointed with this one. Doesn't look very true to the original G1, which was an actual piece that just kind of detached. But that doesn't really bother me. Now this is the G1 mold. This is a reissue that Hasbro did, so the colors are a little off, but it gives you an idea of what it looked like. So on the original G1, basically this piece just attached to the back. So when he's in his truck mode, he's a truck with this big cannon on the bed of the truck, and so this kind of serves as a backpack when he's in robot mode. Now, what I don't really like about this is that with this one, they've basically taken his guns and you can plug them into the side here. This piece, you know, you just attach to the side. So you can either have it as that kind of gun backpack, or you can put the guns in his hand, but you can't have both. In the original G1 toy, they gave him a separate rifle that was different from the backpack piece. So I don't like that you can either have it one or the other, but you can't have both. Now for the guns themselves, again, this is from the Hotspot. So this looks more like something you would see on a fire truck, I think. You got the hose and this little lever at the top to like release water and stuff. And the guns themselves are just kind of a cream color. And besides the guns, the figure comes with this little file card which has some artwork on the front of the character. On the back, all it has is just the Autobot logo. Unfortunately, it doesn't have stats or anything. And then you also get this instruction sheet that shows you how to transform everything. So the figure stands, if you count to the top of his head, about 7¼ inches tall. And then if you count to the tips of his cannons on his back, it's more like 8 inches. So he's definitely much taller than that original G1 mold. Here he is next to the Combiner Wars Megatron figure, and you can see Megatron is definitely taller. I don't recall in the original G1 cartoon if Megatron was taller. I almost want to say they were closer to the same height, but with the toy, Megatron here is definitely taller. Finally, here's a look at the other Combaticons with Onslaught, and you can see Onslaught's definitely the tallest of the bunch, as he should be. Now, as I said before, I'm not going to focus a lot on these other Combaticons in this review, but I will say that I like these for the most part. It doesn't really bother me that Blastoff is now a jet fighter and essentially just a repaint of one of the aerial bots. I would like to see a space shuttle version released at some point, but it does kind of make more sense to me that Blastoff would be a fighter jet as opposed to a non-combat space shuttle. I like Brawl. I think this looks very true to the G1 counterpart. Now, like with Onslaught, though, I don't like the fact that his weapon is his tank gun on his back and that he doesn't have an actual rifle to hold. You can either have the tank gun on his back or you can have him hold it in his hand, but you can't have both, which is a little disappointing. Vortex looks pretty good. I like the side missiles and everything. I think the head sculpt looks really good. And then Swindle, I think, looks decent. Probably my least favorite of the bunch. I like the head sculpt. I think that looks good, but the body looks a little off, and I like that they made it so you could put the cannon on his arm, but they made it way too short. The original G1 cartoon, he had a bazooka cannon. G1 toy I don't think had that, but it would have been nice if they'd made this longer so you could kind of have that bazooka cannon like in the cartoon. Articulation on the figure is pretty good. You can turn the head left and you can turn the head right, and with the transformation you can kind of have him look down. He can't look back at all. The arms you can do out, and he's got good rotation at the arm. You have to be kind of careful with the backpack, but you can still rotate it good, because that backpack does kind of, you can rotate the backpack so you can move it when you're rotating the arm. You can also kind of do the arms out at this bicep joint. He doesn't have a swivel there at the bicep, but he does have a swivel at the elbow. The elbow is basically a double jointed type elbow, so you've got bending here and then you've also got bending here. So you can get really good bending at the elbow with this one. And then he doesn't have any kind of wrist articulation. No midsection articulation, no waist swivel or anything. Legs, you got those kind of clicky joints there, so he can do the splits good, and you can get the leg forward good, and you can do the leg back. He does have a thigh swivel, and then he has a single, well, again, it's kind of a double jointed knee, so you can kind of bend the knee. With the transformation, this lower foot kind of comes upwards, so you get some pretty good bending there. Now, I do want to note with this joint here on the knee that on mine at least it's very loose, and so when you're trying to stand the figure, it has a tendency just to fall back. I have a hard time getting this guy to stand straight up sometimes because of that loose knee joint, so just something to be wary of. And then no real foot or ankle articulation other than you can kind of do the toes up and down, which is more part of the transformation than anything. Okay, so to transform him from robot mode to vehicle mode is pretty simple. You want to start off and you just flip down this chest piece, and then you push the head inside to the chest and then close it back up so it conceals the head. Then you want to take these pieces on the side of his shoulders and you just want to pull them up so they're straight across. And then you want to just rotate the arms all the way up top so that they're straight. So basically the arms are straight across like this. And then you just turn the head, or turn the arms so that the wheels are facing downwards, and then you can just kind of push them up, and so that you're forming the top of the truck basically. And there's a little peg here and a hole here, and basically you can just have them you know, plug into each other. Next up, what you want to do is you want to take the leg pieces, these back pieces of the feet, and you just want to push them up into the legs. And then you can take the lower leg and you just want to kind of push it up so it covers up the upper legs. And then what you want to do is you want to rotate the legs so that the wheels are now facing outwards. And so now you basically have created the back part of the truck. And if you've done it right, then essentially these little clips should all plug in. And you also want to flip these front feet pieces down as well. Then finally, I guess everything should kind of plug in at that point. And then finally what you want to do is these side pieces on the backpack piece, you just want to flip down. Here's a look at Onslaught in his vehicle mode, and this is probably between the robot and the vehicle mode and Bruticus, this is probably my least favorite mode for this toy. Now I do think that this looks much better as a military vehicle than it does a fire truck, as we've seen with the Hotspot version of this toy. You know, like I said, this is a modified version of Hotspot. So I do think this is better. This mold is better suited for Onslaught than it is Hotspot. But I'm not sure it quite captures the overall look of the G1 version. This is the G1 version in his vehicle mode. So I guess it looks maybe a little too futuristic to me, It looks more like something you would see in an Aliens movie, which I guess, you know, some people may like, I don't know. But to me, I kind of prefer the more standard military vehicle look than this more futuristic look. But I do like the sculpting on the windows and stuff up here in the front. And I think what throws me off the most is the guns. The guns, you know, again, being that they're from Hotspot and you've got the hose and everything, they just don't quite fit as well on, you know, for the look of the vehicle. I think it throws it off a little bit for me. So you can rotate the, you know, elevate the guns up, which is nice, and you can, you know, you can move them in various positions. So you can get that good. It rolls pretty well. Wheels are just hard plastic. You've got the Decepticon logo on both sides, which is nice. You've got some windows sculpted up here on the front, which look pretty good. So overall nice detailing. You got a little door back here, some vents and stuff. So again, overall sculpting looks pretty good. Okay, and real quick, I just want to point out, I don't know if this is supposed to be a feature, but if you want to pop these wings up on the side, if you want to just pull them up, then you can actually rotate the gun turret to the side a little bit. You can't rotate it all the way around, but you can rotate it some, so it has some elevation and some rotation, which is nice. Okay, and then here he is with all the other Combaticons in their vehicle modes. Now, I'm not going to go through the transformations of each of the individual Combaticons. As I said, I'm primarily focusing on Onslaught and Bruticus with this review. But just to give you some brief thoughts and point out a couple things. So on Brawl, I think this is the best looking one in the vehicle mode. Looks very true to his G1 counterpart, and I like how you can take the foot piece and attach it so you kind of have those extra cannons like on the original G1 version. There's this little tab that you can pull up and you just plug the foot in there, and then he's got, again, it gives you that kind of G1 look where you could use to put those double cannons on the back of them. Now you can do it one of two ways. You can use that piece, or you can actually just plug it into the top here if you want. That's another way you can do it. But the other way I showed you is the more G1-ish look, so I prefer that. You can also, the turret, it doesn't rotate, but you can elevate it. And this piece you can actually do one of two ways. You can put it on the very top like this, or you can put it down here. And I think this is the best look for him. With Blast Off, I've taken his gun and Vortex's gun and given him wing guns. That's just my preference. Swindle, I've taken some of the other feet and hand pieces and just put them on the back for cannons. Again, you can do various things with these, but I think this is the best look for it. This is probably my least favorite of the vehicle modes. And then Vortex, I took the Gatling gun ones. Yeah, all of the feet and hands are mostly the same, but one of them has a pair of like actual Gatling guns. So I put that on Vortex on the bottom here to give him some extra firepower. And if you want, you could take like his gun and you could stick it on the side, and you could take Blast Off gun, and that would be kind of G1-ish as well for him if you wanted to do that, but I kind of prefer the Gatling guns on the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through the steps of transforming these guys and combining them into Bruticus. Now, I'm going to stick with the G1 configurations for the purpose of this review, which is Vortex and Blast Off being the arms, and Brawl and Swindle being the legs. However, you can mix and match however you want, which I'm sure you're familiar if you have any of the other combiners. So, basically what you want to do to make it easier is you want to start off, and it's best to have Brawl and Swindle in their vehicle modes and then the others in their robot mode. So we'll start off with Brawl, and he's very simple. All you do is, first of all, you want to take this piece that's up here at the front of the tank, and you just kind of have to pull it out with your fingers. This is the part that's going to connect into Onslaught, and you just rotate it upwards so it's sticking straight out. Then you take the turret and you just push it up to the top, and it clicks in place. And then finally you take this back piece and it just pops down, and you make sure that it attaches to the bottom of the tank. So that basically gives you the leg, and then you take the foot piece and you just plug it into the hole that's on the bottom. And there you go. So next we take Swindle, the other leg, and again this is very simple. All you do is you take this front piece and you just again kind of push it down so it's on the bottom, and then you take his gun and you can just pull it out, and you take this piece again at the back of the Jeep, and you pull it out with your fingers. This is the part that's going to connect into Onslaught. And then you take the other foot piece and you plug it into the bottom of the hole. And then you can take his gun and just rotate it so it's pointing the opposite direction as it was in his vehicle mode, and that's it. And so now you have both legs of Bruticus. Okay, now for blast off. Again, very simple. When he's in his robot mode, all you want to do is you just pull the head down, and that piece that you plug into Onslaught will pop up, and you actually want to have it face forward because this is going to be the arm piece. And then you want to take the arms and you just kind of rotate them around to the back, and they kind of tuck in under his wings. If you do it right. And then with the legs, you just want to basically you just kind of want to plug them together, and they should basically just snap into place. And then you just rotate at the waist so that the yellow, according to the instructions, the yellow vents should be pointing forward. So basically you just want to have it pointing like that so that he can bend. Basically this is his elbow. His waist joint becomes his elbow joint for Bruticus. And then you want to take one of the hand pieces and you just plug it into the hole on the bottom. Vortex, again, very simple. From his robot mode, all you want to do is you kind of just pull this back piece out a little bit, and then you just rotate the head backwards. Actually, before you do that, you want to turn the head so that the head is facing backwards, so the eyes and face, everything are concealed. Then you want to just pop it up so that this piece is sticking outwards, and this is the piece that will connect into Onslaught. Then you just clip in his arms to the side. They're little pegs, and so you just clip them in, make sure they're straight. And for the legs, you want to just attach them. Essentially, they should just essentially clip into place. And then you want to turn the waist so that the hole is facing. Facing that way. You want the hole to be facing forward, essentially. So you want this piece facing towards the body, and then you want the hole on the legs facing frontward. And that's basically it. And then you take the other hand and you stick it in the hole here. Finally, with Onslaught, he's a little more difficult than the others, but not too difficult. So you want to take the head, and once again you want to push it down into his chest and then close that piece back up. And then you want to take this back piece and you just want to rotate it around, and then you can basically you can pull these wings down a little bit, and essentially that's going to be Bruticus's head now revealed. And you take this back piece and you want to just push it down, and then you can fold these wings back up because they're going to get in the way a little bit. Then you rotate the arms so that they're back like that, and then you just fold them over and they'll click into place. There's a little hole on the top, and there's a peg on the bottom. So if you get it lined up right, they should just kind of click right in. And so you want the wheels now to be facing upwards. Now, next thing you want to do is you can rotate those cannons so that they're now facing upwards, and you can push these this chest piece, the wings on the chest piece, out. Then with the legs, you want to push the feet in, and you can put these pieces, pull them back up, and the back pieces of the feet you want to push inside the leg, and then you want to basically pull the bottom of the leg up. Now with this part here, you kind of have to, you want to basically get the waist pieces so that the wheels are able to sit side by side like this. So you got to adjust those waist pieces a bit, and then turn them to the side so that the vent pieces are now facing forward, and then you take this bottom piece of the chest piece and you just pull it down so it's over his waist. Okay, so now once you have all the pieces transformed, it's just a matter of connecting them. Now real quick, one thing I did forget to mention when we were transforming Onslaught is one final thing you want to do is these side pieces at his shoulder, you want to just pull out and to the back. That way you expose the openings that you can plug the arms into. So you make sure that you do that. Okay, so now all it is just a matter of sliding in the pieces. So we'll do the legs first, brawl, swindle, and the pieces just slide right in. And then for the arms, you can fold these wing pieces of the chest forward so that it's easier to slide the arms in. And then you just slide, we'll slide Vortex in here. And blast off on the other side. And then you just put the wing pieces back, and there you go. Okay, so here's a look at the Combaticons all combined together as Bruticus. And I think this is a pretty good looking combiner. Beyond Superion and of course Devastator, I think this is the best looking of the combiners. I like it better than Menasor, and then those other ones like the Galvatronus and stuff, which I don't even really bother with. I think this is a pretty good looking combiner. I like the head sculpt, looks very true to the original G1. I like the chest piece, which is, it doesn't pop off like on the original, it's part of actual Onslaught, so I like that. That piece always fell off in the original G1 version. You've got the Decepticon logo, and then the color scheme and everything I think all looks good. Everything kind of fits in together and blends together well. Now I do have some complaints, most notably the weapons. So again, like with Onslaught, we've got where basically if you can either put the rifles, the bigger guns that come with this combiner, on his back so that he's got the gun backpack like he's supposed to have, or you can take it off and put them in his hands. But otherwise, you know, if you want to have the gun backpack thing, which is true to the G1 look, then the only guns he has left really to use are these smaller guns that come with Vortex and Blast Off, and those look frankly a little silly that he's holding these little tiny guns in his hand. So I don't really like that at all. They should have included a third larger gun that both Onslaught could use and Bruticus could use. So that's my biggest complaint with this. Now, that being said, I have, if you have like say the Combiner Wars Cyclonus figure, I've taken the gun that comes with him, which is basically a repainted gun that comes with the aerial bots, and this actually will work nicely, and you can also use it with Onslaught if you want to as well, and to give him a bigger gun. Now also, there's a Legend Shockwave figure that I don't actually have for this review yet, but if you want, you know, you can transform that one into a Shockwave gun, and he'll hold that one as well. So if you have that figure, then you can always have your Bruticus holding Shockwave like in that one G1 episode. But as it is, again, with the toy itself, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't give you that extra big gun. Okay, so Bruticus here, he stands, if you count to the top of his head, just a little bit over 11 inches tall. And then if you count to the guns on his back, then it's closer to 11.5 inches tall. And for some size comparisons, first of all, here he is next to the G1 mold of Bruticus. Again, this is that repainted version that Hasbro released years later, so the color scheme is not the same, but this is the G1 mold. And so you can see this new Bruticus is much bigger than the old G1 version. Okay, and then here he is next to his Autobot combiner counterpart Defensor and the Protectobots. And you can see Bruticus is actually a little bit taller than Defensor here. And here he is next to the Autobot Superion, the Aerobots combiner. And this is still my favorite of the regular combiners in this series, not including Devastator, which obviously is bigger and everything and more deluxe. But with the regular combiners, I think Superion and the Aerobots is still the best set. And here he is next to his fellow Decepticon combiner, Menasor, and the Stunticons. And again, it looks like Bruticus is a little bit taller than Menasor. And here's the Combiner Wars Megatron figure. And Bruticus is taller than Megatron, but obviously this line is not actually in scale, as Megatron would not be nearly as tall as he is here next to a combiner like Bruticus. Finally, here's Bruticus next to the Constructicons and Devastator, and obviously Devastator is much bigger than Bruticus, as Devastator is much bigger than all the other combiners in this series. So articulation on this is pretty much on par with what we've seen with the other combiners. You can turn the head left and right. He really doesn't have much in the way of up or down movement with the head. You can rotate the arms. You can get the arms out. They've got bending at the elbows. Now, one thing I want to note here on Blast Off, as far as I can tell, the way the instructions have it, you're supposed to have the bottom part of Blast Off facing where these yellow vents are facing, you know, frontward. But when you do that, that limits how much he can bend his elbow. If you actually turn this the other way, so it's facing this way, you actually get much more bending with the elbow. So I don't know how you want to do it. You can do, you know, he can kind of look down at the waist section, and you can get the legs out pretty good, and you can get the legs forward pretty good, and then they have bending at the knee, which is good. So again, this is pretty much on par with all the other combiners. You can rotate the feet. You know, same feet and hand pieces that we've seen with all the combiners in this line. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I really like these combiners. This is probably my second favorite in the regular set of combiners. Superion's still probably my favorite. I think looks the best out of all of them. But this one's a close second. I think it's done a nice job of capturing the G1 look. It's got pretty good movement. It doesn't have pieces that fall off really easy, so I'm pretty happy with that. And as far as Onslaught goes, I like his robot mode, and his vehicle mode is okay, but that's probably my least favorite thing about that toy. My biggest complaint overall is just the lack of weapon with Onslaught and Bruticus. I think they should have given you the guns to go on his back, and then they should have given you a third gun, a third big gun that you could put in his hand. So that's my biggest complaint overall with this set. I think the detail and articulation and everything else is pretty nice. So the Combaticons are hitting retail shelves now. The deluxe ones are, you know, you can probably find at general retail. Onslaught at this point I've only seen online. I got mine off of Amazon.com, but you should probably start seeing that one in greater numbers at regular retail as well. We'll have a full gallery of images up at toynewseye.com. There's a link in the description below. And as always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.